In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 23, 2022, and providing you with team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive betting picks to take your sports betting journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer anywhere from 1 betting pick a day up to 10 betting picks a day and much more. Now let's get started. Virginia versus Syracuse. The Virginia Cavaliers have been playing well this season, as they are 2-1 on the year right now after a close 16-14 home victory over the Old Dominion Monarchs. Senior quarterback Brennan Armstrong had a decent game as he finished 2-0 of 3-7 for 284 yards while also running 14 times for 54 yards. The Syracuse Orange are doing extremely well as they have begun the year 3-0 and are coming off a 32-29 home victory over the Purdue Boilermakers. Junior quarterback Garrett Schrader had an interesting game as he was just 1-3 of 29 but finished with 181 yards and 3 touchdown passes through the air and 17 carries for 83 yards on the ground. The Cavaliers are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 conference games and 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. The Orange are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 home games and 10-3 against the spread in their last 13 games overall. The under is 4-0 in Cavaliers' last 4 games overall. The under is 4-1 in Orange last 5 home games. The Virginia Cavaliers travel to Syracuse to open their Atlantic Coast Conference schedule. The Orange have been one of the more surprising teams in the early going, opening with a dominant win over Louisville. They escaped with an improbable win against Purdue last week on a last-second drive, but they played well enough to win all game long, leading for much of it. For a team picked to finish at the bottom of the Atlantic Coast Conference, Syracuse has surprised many. Virginia has been the opposite thus far. Preseason projections expected the Hoos to be an explosive offense behind QB Brennan Armstrong, but that has just not materialized in the early going. Through 3 games, Virginia has been entirely unimpressive on offense. Illinois, a team that profiles very similarly to Syracuse, held the Cavaliers to only 180 yards of offense. Last week against Old Dominion, the Cavaliers amassed over 500 total yards, but still only managed 16 points. Maybe it was losing the entire starting offensive line to the transfer portal, and maybe that will get better as the season goes. But for now, Virginia is just not a scary offense. Syracuse wants to be a run-heavy offense. Thus far, they have run more times than they have thrown, handing the ball off 35 times against 30 passes just last week. How does Virginia do against the run? 2 weeks ago against a similar run-heavy team in Illinois, they were gashed for nearly 200 yards on the ground. The spread is in favor of the Orange based on the performance of these 2 teams so far. Nevertheless, at some point this season, the Virginia offense will click, and I think it might be this week. The Cavaliers put up heavy passing totals last week, even if they failed to score much. Likewise, Syracuse gave up over 400 yards in the air to Purdue. If not for the debacle at Illinois, Virginia might well be the favorite in this game. The Virginia Cavaliers haven't looked like the team many expected them to be this season, and a lot of that has to do with a poor passing attack. It's strange. The Syracuse Orange are flowing with confidence after a strong 3-0 start, and their walk-off win over Purdue last week only adds to things. The line is probably accurate. However, I'm not convinced Virginia is this bad, and I'd expect this offense to get its act together to some degree. Virginia has another gear it's capable of finding, so the Virginia Cavaliers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Both special teams units have struggled, as Syracuse is 4 of 6 on field goal attempts, while Virginia is 4 of 5 on field goal tries. So there is a huge issue there when kicking isn't as effective as it needs to be. These defenses also stepped up throughout the course of the season, as the Cavaliers are giving up 18 points per game, while the Orange have been allowing 17 points per game thus far. The under has hit in each of the previous 4 Virginia games, as well as in the last 5 Orange Friday games. The Cavaliers are a low-scoring team. Part of that is because they usually run a slower offense. The squad definitely relies on defense to win games, and it's no surprise the under has cashed in all 3 games. In addition, the Orange have a run-heavy offense that leads to long possessions that drain the clock. They have only attempted a pass in 41% of their total plays, which is one of the lowest. I believe their current offensive production is unsustainable as a result. Virginia has allowed 17 or fewer points in 2 of their 3 games and has a pretty good pass rush, collecting 8 sacks in 3 games. I expect a defensive battle. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Nevada versus Air Force. The Nevada Wolfpack and the Air Force Falcons will face off against one another in a Mountain West Conference matchup on Friday night at Falcon Stadium. The Wolfpack are 2-2 and are coming off a 27-0 road loss to the Iowa Hawkeyes last week. Sophomore quarterback Shane Illingworth struggled a bit in that game as he was 1-4 of 28 for 82 yards and an interception. The Falcons are currently 2-1 and are coming off a 17-14 road loss against the Wyoming Cowboys. Senior quarterback Hosek Daniels will be under center and had a good game with limited passing attempts as he is 7 of 1-4 for 101 yards with a pair of passing touchdowns as well as 9 rushing attempts for 6 yards in that game. The Wolfpack are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 road games and 16-5 to 1 against the spread in their last 22 after an against the spread loss. Nevada is 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 Friday games. Meanwhile, the Falcons are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 overall and 5-2 against the spread in the last 7 at home. Air Force is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 Friday games. Just looking at this spread shows us that the odds makers do not believe this to be a close game. There is an old adage in football that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none, and that seems to be the case with Nevada as Nate Cox and Shane Illingworth are splitting time under center. However, they have not done a good job as they are combining for a 57.9 completion percentage with 2 passing touchdowns and an interception. Air Force loves to run the ball so they can manage to have an offense with not successful quarterback play, but Nevada cannot. The Wolfpack are 46th in rushing defense, but none of the previous 3 teams they have faced were in the top 100 of rushing offense. The Falcons are going to run the ball down Nevada's throat and score early and often. The experience will show Friday as Air Force bounces back from a humbling road conference loss. Plus, Nevada is coming off a physically draining game against Iowa, so the Air Force Falcons to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Nevada is coming off not scoring last week while Air Force scored just 14 points, so it is okay to be a little sheepish on their offensive totals in this game. However, the Falcons have scored 41 and 48 points in the 2 previous games, while the Wolfpack put up 41 and 38 points respectively. We know Air Force is going to run the ball, but they get good yardage and continue moving the chains as they are 1-7 of 3-6 on 3rd down attempts this season, while Nevada is 2-4 of 6-8. The over has hit in 5 of the last 6 games against each other. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Boise State versus UTEP. A pair of mid-major conference programs lock up on the gridiron in a non-conference tilt-down when the Mountain West locks up with a member of Conference USA in the Lone Star State. The Boise State Broncos are on the road as they make the trip to face the UTEP Miners Friday night. Boise State comes in off a 30-7 victory over FCS program Ud Martin at home Saturday. UTEP ended up splitting with the schools from the state of New Mexico as they were beaten 27-10 on the road by New Mexico in their most recent game Saturday. In the all-time series between the 2 programs, the Broncos have won all 6 matchups. That includes a 54-13 home demolition in the most recent meeting on September 10, 2021. Boise State is 0-3-1 against the spread in their last 4 games overall and 2-10 against the spread in their last 12 games following a win, while the under is 6-1 in their last 7 road games. UTEP is 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games overall and 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 Friday games, while the under is 4-0 in their last 4 games in September. The Miners have had trouble moving the ball without turning it over as they had 7 turnovers last week against New Mexico. Helani is the focal point of the Boise State offense and should dominate here. UTEP struggles to defend the running game, and Helani is going to run the ball through massive holes in the defense. Boise is the better team here, and while I don't always go with the team of beat team B while B beat team C theory, Boise beat up on a New Mexico team that just picked apart UTEP, and I believe the Miners are going to have trouble with the Broncos, even at home here. This game is not going to be close as the Boise State Broncos are definitely the better team, even with their injuries going on. This game not being a larger spread honestly feels a bit weird as I do not believe this this Miners team can score enough to keep this game close, so the Boise State Broncos to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. There is no way that the Miners can turn the ball over as much as they did last week, as that felt like a complete aberration of bad luck, so they are going to have possession for too long. The Broncos are also built to run the ball effectively to move the chains, and that will take a good chunk of the clock to do just that. Alani has seen an increase of rushing attempts each game from 13 to 20 to 24 and has seen more success with each, so it will continue to climb. The under has hit in each of the last 4 September games for the Miners and in each of the previous 4 Broncos games. Boise State has stayed under the total in 2 of their 3 games this season. The Broncos have seen totals of 51, 45, and 37 points in their 3 games against numbers of 56.5, 43, and 53.5 points. Meanwhile, UTEP has stayed under the number in all 4 of their games this season. The Miners have combined with their opponents for 44, 58, 33, and 37 points in their contests. UTEP narrowly missed the total against Oklahoma, as the number for that game was 58.5 points. The other numbers were 53, 46.5, and 37.5 points. Given the way that both teams are below average on the offensive side of the ball, you have to think this one ends up short of the total. Expecting points to be scored by the UTEP Miners feels a little too difficult to predict, so until they can prove otherwise, I will fade them by scoring much. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.